Well, good morning, my baby gorillas. And how the devil are we? Oh, let's see if I won this. If we're on, we're on. Let's just a wee low, we're on. What's the news today, ladies and gents? Oh my goodness, it's so exciting. Let me just clear this. And let's have a wee look at what's happening today. There's old young Alex. I was going to say old Alex there, but let's give him credit where credit's due. Alex Salmond, legal advice. Let's start with the Scotsman. Oh no, in fact, I think that's a wee bit older. Let's start with these guys. From the BBC, the British Bias Corporation. Scottish Government misses Alex Salmond's legal advice deadline. No, that's not it either. I had it 2 minutes ago. So, sorry for the dead time there. Just trying to get this. I had it literally 2 minutes ago and now it's disappeared. You'll be glad to know that I've got new stuff. Alex Salmond. Nicola Sturgeon. News about unprecedented actions. Let's start with the Scotsman 15 hours ago. So this article is written by Connor Matchett. Okay. I hope I pronounced that right, Connor. Alex Salmond inquiry. Let's try and get rid of this. How do you get rid of this? Don't want to see that. How do you get rid of it? It's very annoying, isn't it? You can't get rid of things. Right. Oh, how annoying. Alex Salmond inquiry, unprecedented action as committee invokes legal powers to view Crown Office documents. So the SNP have been putting off the handing over of these documents, while at the same time saying, oh yes, we want to be fair and transparent. And now we have got the committee who is allowed to force people to hand over the legal documentation, the law to hand over the legal documentation. It was enacted in 1998 that allows the committee to force the handing over of these documents. Parliamentary committee. MSPs have taken an unprecedented step of invoking the legal power of Holyrood committees to compel organisations to hand over documents in order to shed light on the Scottish Government's handling of the harassment complaints against Alex Salmond. Harassment Complaints Committee decided following a meeting today to invoke Section 23 of the Section 23 of the Scotland Act 1998 to force the Crown Office to hand over documents relating to the inquiry. It is the first time in history of the Scottish Parliament, so this is unprecedented times. So there's obviously big things afoot, probably thanks to yours truly shining the light and on what is actually happening here. It's first time in Scottish history. Let me just get this up and see if there's any comments. Hopefully the live chat will come in. it is the first time in the history of the Scottish Parliament these powers have been used. So this is unprecedented use. Unprecedented. In invoking Section 23, MSPs have demanded access to the documents held by the Crown Office in relation to the details of the complainants being leaked. Now, you've got to remember, some women didn't even want to bring forward these allegations. So that, to me, means some of them might have been coerced, or that this has been a snowball's chance in hell of actually getting through. So the legal team wanted to leave. The women didn't want to bring forward the cases, and it's been forced through, it looks like, by Nicola Sturgeon and her husband. And I think what we're going to see is that the legal advice that's actually happening here is going to show that the whole case shouldn't have been brought forward, which means it looks like a setup, which means Nicola Sturgeon, not only has she broken the ministerial code, but she has also potentially done something illegal and tried to set up Alex Salmond with these fake allegations. And we'll find out, because the legal they will now get the legal documentation. They can't not get it now. And they'll say that she shouldn't have brought forward the case in the first place, but she forced it through. Incredible. They have also requested WhatsApp messages. I think they've been listening to me in the Guerilla TV channel, haven't they? It's quite incredible, because don't forget there was another dump of documents, emails that were given to the party in the last couple of days since the last come on. And that they've obviously looking at the WhatsApp groups, what's been said to who, and this is the unsticking of this whole thing. She will now have to resign. I said 2 months ago, I think if they can find a previous commentator who said she's going to have to resign, political commentator, I think it was a Guerilla TV channel, they basically broke the news that she was going to have to resign. Don't forget, 2 months ago, a lot of good political commentators have been coming on and agreeing with me, because obviously they know I was correct. But yeah, I mean, it's quite incredible. They also requested WhatsApp messages sent between the Chief Operating Officer of the SNP, Sue Ruddick, and other members of the SNP and government between August 2018 and January 2019. The committee's convener, Linda Fabinini, who is a really nice lady as well, Linda, and also quite confident in her job as well. Throughout this inquiry, the committee has been determined to get as much information as possible to inform its task. This is a step that has been taken. This is a step that hasn't been taken lightly, and is a first for this parliament, which is quite incredible, but which the committee felt was needed as it continues its vital work. Scottish Labour interim leader and committee member Jackie Bailey, who is also a competent MSP. This is unprecedented action is necessary to cut through the web of secrecy that the Scottish Government has woven, and to allow the committee to live up to its remit. So open and transparent by Nicola Sturgeon saying, well, I've got nothing to hide, yet hiding the legal advice. Doesn't really make sense, does it? At every turn, the SNP government has sought to hide vital material from the committee in a vain effort to leave it toothless, a toothless entity and a talking shop without power. Enough is enough. The secrecy must end, although she's saying she's open and transparent. The committee must receive the documents requested forthwith, so that the truth of the sorry affair can be uncovered. What it's going to uncover is that Alex Salmond has been set up by this whole cabal, and that's why there's major splits in the SNP now, because of people internally. I know for a fact that people internally, there's 2 factions, and people internally have sided with either Salmond, and more people are siding with Salmond because they're starting to see this was set up by Nicola Sturgeon and her husband quite brutally to do. I mean, this is really serious. I mean, they were trying to put Alex Salmond in jail for them orchestrating this. So, I mean, that's very, very serious. It's not just a trivial matter and destroys reputation. They've already lost in court. Alex Salmond said he's not going to come to the committee, which I initially thought was not a good idea. And I thought he could have given his side and he could have actually spoken. And it's good for him to be transparent. However, I think it might actually take away the focus on what the leaders of the SNP have done. The committee has consistently been blocked from performing its remit by the SNP ministers. The level of obstruction has been extraordinary. We have escalated our request to seek further documents from the Crown in an effort to uncover the government let down women so badly. Well, I don't know if they've let down women, because some of the women didn't even want to come forward with this. Some of the women have stated that they did not want to come forward with their allegations, which makes it seem more like the women are not the victims, but some potentially perpetrators in the greater scheme to set up Alex Salmond. And that's something, I mean, all women are not victims. Some women lie, and some women are part of an orchestrated attempt where they're being manipulated. It would be better for these women now to come out and say that why they didn't want to come forward. And if they were forced to come forward by Nicola Sturgeon and her husband. And this will, again, undermine the whole concept of this was not anything other than an orchestration on Alex Salmond. Letters published by the inquiry also show that the former First Minister, Alex Salmond, will not appear on a take it or leave it date of Tuesday, February the 2nd. Now, Alex has given a few reasons, COVID being one of them. And he's given a few reasons why he doesn't want to attend this. In the letter, Miss Fabinini states, if you remain unavailable on the 2nd of February and cannot attend on any of the alternative days offered in that week, the committee regrets that it will not be able to take oral evidence from you. Now, if I was Alex, I would actually go. I think he should go. I think he probably has more information about the whole affair to actually give. And I think the committee should also respect him and not actually, he's been found not guilty, so they should respect him by, if he's going to give out information, he should not be prosecuted again. I think that was one of the stipulations that he had in attending. And I think they should do that, because obviously it looks like a setup. It looks like a political setup. Offer in that week. The committee regrets that it will not be able to take oral evidence from you. A message from the editor. Thank you for reading this article. Well, that's okay, Mr. Editor of the Scotsman. We are more reliant on your support than ever as a shift in consumer habits brought about by coronavirus and impacts our advisors. Yeah, I would donate to the Scotsman. The Scotsman has always been a competent paper, and yeah, I think you should try and support your local journalists. They're probably doing a good job, a really good job. So I've got something coming up that will try and help these periodicals as well. I have a cunning plan. Let's go back and see what somebody else is saying then, shall we? Oh, there's the Herald. Let's see what the Glasgow mob are saying. This is by David Ball. Oh, that's a good name, isn't it? Only one ball. Salmond inquiry, MSPs demand Crown Office release documents. Oh my goodness, let's try and make this bigger, shall we? Oh yeah, that's a good size. Oh, they've hid it behind a wee paywall. Have they? They hid it. Oh, can't read that. But sport your Herald as well, even though they write nasty pieces about me. But I'm not blaming the Herald, they'll just blame Paul Hutchins. Yep, that looks like a good article. Maybe go out and buy your Herald today, find out what the Herald's saying. Oh, here we go, MSN. Handing over Salmond's legal advice under active consideration. That's last year, that's in November last year. So there's already been 2 attempts, and John Sweeney has prevented these 2 attempts from actually happening. The SNP under pressure for handing over secret legal advice. Let's see what with young Paul Hutchins, what he's saying about legal advice. Daily Record. That's me doing my best to support the Daily Record, even after them saying nasty things about me. That just shows you how magnanimous I am. Haha, 2 days ago. Oh, here we go. That looks quite interesting. Is it our old friend Paul Hutchins? Let's see. Oh, no thanks. Twitter refuses to delete the name of Alex Salmond's. Oh, sexual accuser despite warnings. Oh, my goodness. Oh, our old friend Paul Hutchins. Twitter refuses to delete the name of Alex Salmond's sexual assault accuser despite warnings. Oh, I don't think you should be able to be anonymous. Either both parties should have to be anonymous unless convicted, or neither party should be anonymous. I don't believe in one rule for one for that. It also leads to the ability to have false allegations and still be protected. So you either you actually have the ability to say out in open court. I don't believe in protecting this unless the witness or the accuser is under threats. Then I don't believe that they should be protected. Either both parties get protected until convicted, or neither parties get protected. The Twitter refuses to delete the name of Alex Salmond's sexual accuser despite warnings. The woman was illegally outed on the social network. Oh. Social media giant Twitter is dragging its heels over the removal of the name of the woman who accused Alex Salmond of sexual assault. She was illegally outed on the online network. Twitter doesn't do anything wrong. Despite repeated pleas for it to be removed, her case has been described as closed. The company has told her she could submit a new case instead of just deleting the post. Directed her to self-help solutions. More than a week later, it is still online despite publications breaking the law. So Twitter are breaking the law, and yet our legal entity is not able to do anything. So legal have now got an ability to actually stand. Oh, there's our old friend Humza Useless. Oh, we'll come to Humza Useless in a bit. That looks like Jada Francis for Britain First, who targeted Humza Yusuf launches doom bid to become an MSP. A friend of the woman said when Police Scotland contact a social media platform to request them to remove any offending post because it breaks the law, it should take hours, not weeks, to be sorted. The fact that this has been compounded by Twitter closing the case before it has been even resolved shows they either don't care or don't take the rules seriously. Twitter is jeopardising this woman's safety and should act now. That's something to take into consideration, the safety of the woman. Or the accuser, not just the woman, sorry, I keep saying that. The accuser, so it doesn't matter if it's a woman or not. The Salmond's first, in this case it's a woman, but it could be somebody else, First Minister between 2007 and 2013, was acquitted of sexually assaulting 9 women, including a charge of attempted rape, after a trial last year. I mean, I'm already on the record. My university said I sexually assaulted a woman, which the woman said I hadn't touched her, and destroyed my master's. So the woman, the victim, said I hadn't touched her, yet the woman, the Strathclyde University said I had sexually assaulted her. And they allowed me to believe that I'd sexually assaulted because I wasn't conscious. I fell asleep. The whole story's online just now. And but the accuser said I hadn't touched her, yet the university prolonged this for months and destroyed my master's. Publishing the name of the woman is a crime after a court order was placed protecting anonymity. Despite the order, Twitter, the people in California just think they're tech tyrants, don't they? They just think they're above the law. And we have to look at very, very stringent sanctions on what's happening from these Silicon Valley tyrants in the UK. If they don't want to comply, they won't be doing business in our country. As simple as that. Users blatantly ignored by identifying one of the women and taunting her in her posts. After the woman complained to Twitter, her post was not a breach. We are writing to let you know that after reviewing the available information, we didn't find any violations of our rules and content to report. Police said we confirmed that we have received a complaint and it is currently being investigated. Twitter has repeatedly declined the request for a comment. Now, Twitter banned the Guerilla TV channel off Twitter before the run-up to Donald Trump's defeat by Dopey Joe Biden, and they're now reinstated the Guerilla TV on Twitter after the election. I didn't do very much commenting because I'd already been banned on Facebook and LinkedIn, and all these Silicon Valley fascists are banning me and the Guerilla TV from other organisations or their organisations. So they must realise that if they can ban us on their platforms, we can ban you on our countries. So and not only that, we have a large reach in other countries as well. So I'd be very careful. I see Australia, the Google are going to potentially pull out of Australia if they have to pay local broadcasters or local publishers money for them doing things with their ads on their platforms. So that's very interesting. So I think the Silicon Valley is going to retreat because it's acting like fascist parlor when the orchestration of what happened in the Capitol, the peaceful protest in the Parliament with non-armed individuals. Was getting called an insurrection. It looked like a peaceful protest to me. It looked a lot more peaceful than the communists of BLM and Antifa. And that peaceful protest is now being used for tyranny. They've now shut down Parler, and they're basically these giant Silicon Valley tech giants are abusing their monopolistic power. And not only are they acting as a cabal, they're also enforcing this tyranny, and that'll come back to bite them. That'll come back to bite them really hard. They won't see it coming, but it will come back and bite them. So I believe in outing women. Well, I mean, Alex Salmond has individuals who are in these sort of cases. Well, Alex Salmond does no, say for instance, that woman had made a false allegation against Alex Salmond. It's easy for them to make the accusation, but if it was a false allegation, it's very hard for Alex Salmond to get the police to then investigate her if it's a false allegation, because the police just don't do it. So it's one rule for one for another. So if you make the allegation and it's false, then you're protected, your anonymity is protected, but also the police won't then investigate the lie. If it is a lie, I'm not saying in this case it is or not lie. I don't know the background, don't know any of the story behind it. But we already know the these people were reluctant to come forward and testify against Alex Salmond, yet forced through by the SNP. And that it was forced through, and they have now covering up the legal advice, because that will show that none of these cases should have been brought forward. There was no chance of winning it. So they forced it through as well. Our old friend Paul Hutchins. Hope you're well, Paul. Hope everything's good with you. So there's Alex Salmond, and this is by Emily O'Neill and James Moncur. Moncur, that's quite a nice name. On the Daily Record as well. That's good. There you go, guys. I'm trying to help you so you don't go bust. There you go. I'm doing my bit. Alex Salmond fears criminal prosecutions if he gives evidence to the Holyrood inquiry. The Scottish Government expresses disappointment in his refusal to appear in person before Holyrood inquiry. So I think Alex Salmond should be given legal protection, so he can give the advice without recrimination. So he can be open and honest. I think now, after him being found not guilty of the legal advice, of the legal prosecution, that he should be protected so that we can all find out what's actually going on. Alex Salmond's legal team said the former First Minister fears that his appearance at Holyrood committee will leave him in jeopardy of criminal prosecution. Well, I don't know what that means. I don't know what evidence he can give that could be prosecutable. The response comes after the Scottish Government expressed disappointment in his refusal to appear in person before Holyrood inquiry into botched investigations of sexual harassment claims against him. The former First Minister was invited. I think that'll be absolutely fascinating to find out what it is that might jeopardise him being criminally prosecuted. That to me is fascinating as well, because I don't think it'll be what the obvious is. I think they should give him a pardon and actually we should hear the information. I think from a historical point, the information that he will give will surpass the public interest on criminal prosecution in this case. The former First Minister was invited to give evidence next Tuesday, but his lawyers rejected the request, citing public health concerns and the Scottish Government refusal to publish its legal advice. Now the government is getting forced through. Okay, coronavirus, but I mean, he could travel safely without being affected by the coronavirus. And let me just check this, guys. And Salmond offered to appear in person on the 16th, stating the original date was offered was unsuitable. We'll just let him appear on the 16th. I don't think it's a major problem, him appearing on the 16th. And Nicola Sturgeon now wanting to lock down the country until the summer. That cannot go on. We cannot go on with this. I mean, I think Nigel is wanting to get everybody back to work and do proper sort of social distancing, but get everybody back to work. And I mean, it's proven a disaster to the Scottish economy. And I see Nicola Sturgeon just signed up a big trade deal with China, our friends in China, the Chinese Communist Party, and rather, should I say, not the Chinese people as a whole. David Mackay and Levy and McCrae, who are representing Salmond, also raised concern over Salmond's ability to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under threat of a charge of perjury. Wow, that's very interesting. Who is representing also concerns over Alex Salmond's ability to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under threat of a charge of perjury. Interesting. Maybe there has been something to hide there. I don't know or there might be something external to all of this. So there may be something else that he knows that we don't all know. How do you propose he does so when the inevitable involves references to materials? This is where it is. So this is where it is. In criminal proceedings, and when doing so leaves him open to prosecution. You are aware that there are multiple documents of fundamental importance to your inquiry, which were part of disclosure in the Scottish trial. We have pointed this out for months now in numerous letters. We wish these to be available to the committee and have now been warned on a number of occasions by the Crown Office that supplying these to you or even identifying them for you to recover would constitute an offence. Well, now the committee's told them, get the legal documents over. That's it. We want to see the legal documents. Let's be seeing this. In a letter to Mr. Mackay, also raised concerns over the current COVID-19 restrictions in Holyrood, saying you published your invitation for next week in full acknowledge. Sorry, apologise. That's my dyslexia kicking in. Of the contrary advice for the presiding officers to suspend in-person committee meetings. Contrary advice for the presiding officer to suspend in-person committee meetings. Under advice of all committees, committee meetings will be held virtually for the foreseeable future. Mr. Mackay added he is perfectly willing to travel to the committee meeting as long as it can be completely safely and can be properly regarded as being for work of an essential purpose in the conformity with the regulations. This is not a question of personal preference. It is about following the Parliament's own advice on an in-person meeting. The Scottish Parliament spokesman, while there is rightly a strong presumption against committees meeting in person, the presiding officer understands that there may be a small number of circumstances where essential committee business cannot be effectively undertaken by any means other than in meeting in person. As the convener made clear to Mr. Salmond's solicitor, the committee would be happy to work with Mr. Salmond to find a way of allowing him to give evidence safely and securely. The committee will meet in private next Tuesday to consider the programme, including Mr. Salmond's later response. However, the committee is clear that all evidence to it must comply with the relevant legal obligations. Oh my goodness, what is going on? We know what's going on. We know exactly what is going on here. Rethink, Scottish Government rethink on Alex Salmond's legal advice after pressure from MSPs. Oh, there's our friend Paul Hutchins again. That's last year. Alex Salmond, yeah, right, we've done that. There was something else. Unprecedented actions. Let's see the Guardian. This is by, who's this? Oh, the editor, the Scottish editors getting involved. Severin Carroll. The Scottish Parliament orders prosecution to release Salmond leaked evidence. The Scottish Parliament has ordered the country's prosecution service to release the key evidence. Now, the court will not be able to, and the prosecution will not be able to stand against the court, because that means that basically the court stand against the people. So they will have no choice but to release this now. And then Nicola Sturgeon, as I said, this is that and the WhatsApp messages will be the unravelling of Nicola Sturgeon as First Minister. That's her tenure finished. In a dramatic escalation of a battle over the non-disclosure of legal papers, in an unprecedented move, Hollywood issued an enforcement notice on the Crown Office, instructing it to release private messages from senior Scottish Party officials and documents. So that's basically what I said in the last one, where I think the Nicola Sturgeon might be facing potential criminal charges herself by the setting up of Alex Salmond for fake sexual allegation charges. So this is the basically just what I said, and they've obviously been watching me on the Guerilla TV channel. Said David Valentine's correct as usual, and that's it. The documents about the leaks of allegations had sexually harassed two civil servants. Allegations he denies. Notice under Section 23 follows months of stalemate involving the Scottish Government, the Crown Office and Salmond himself, and a special Holyrood committee set up to investigate the government's botched handling of an internal inquiry into the allegations against him. The letter from the Hollywood chief executive and clerk, David McGill, has given the Crown Office, headed by Lord Advocate James Wolfe, 7 days to comply. Linda Fabinini of the Scottish National Party, who chairs the committee, this is a step that hasn't been taken lightly, and it is a first for the Parliament, but which the committee felt was necessary as it continues its vital work. Well, I mean, obviously there's members, Murdo Fraser's involved in this, and Jackie Bailey's Labour. So this is going in Linda's, obviously, from the SNP. So this is a cross-party committee that's holding the First Minister, doing the job and holding the First Minister to account. Jackie Bailey, Scottish Labour acting leader, at every turn the SNP government has sought to hide vital material from the committee, in vain to leave it a toothless entity, a talking shop without power. Enough's enough, the secrecy must end. And Nicola Sturgeon saying, oh, we're all transparent. It's all transparent. The documents cover WhatsApp messages sent or received by Sue Ruddock, the SNP Chief Operating Minister. I know I'm there, the SNP's Chief Operating Officer, and ministerial officials and special advisors in the Scottish Government between August 2018 and the news of the government investigation into Salmond was leaked, and January 2019, the month Salmond won a judicial review ordering the government to quash the findings of its internal inquiry. The month that Salmond won a judicial review ordering the government to quash the findings of its internal inquiry. I don't know what that meant, quash the findings of its internal inquiry. However, he was arrested and charged with 14 offences, chiefly involving alleged sexual assaults and attempted rapes. Now, I think the majority of, I think there was only 2 attempted rapes, and the attempted rapes to me didn't sound like attempted rapes. They sounded a bit like drunken foibles, shall we say, drunken hijinks. I don't think there was an attempt to rape. I think attempt to rape is a very specific thing. I don't know how you would attempt to rape somebody. The person would have to really fight back to not be raped by a man, if it was a man to woman. But if a strong man could basically rape anybody. They have that power. To fail to rape I don't know how bad it would have to get to filter it to make it an attempted rape. I don't know what the person, whether they would have hit them with somebody or done sprayed them knives, whatever they would have to do. It would have to have been quite extreme for them not to be raped by a stronger man, if that makes sense, from a legal entity. So I don't, and it didn't sound like he was trying to rape them. He sounds like he was a bit drunk and doing about some silly things, but it didn't sound like, I didn't agree with that. They were probably all some form of sexual assault charges, and I think some of them were made up, or not even sexual assault charges. I think a proportion of them were like that. In March 2020, Salmond was acquitted of all charges following a 2-week jury trial. Leaks of messages sent by Peter Murrell, SNP's chief executive, Nicola Sturgeon's husband, implied he wanted to put the police under pressure to pursue Salmond, and an allegation Murrell denied. I don't really understand that because obviously he wrote it, and Murdo Fraser, cross-examining him, said that he got them to say that there was nobody down in London. But yet this was leaked to the papers as if there were people in London making allegations. But when Murrell was getting cross-examined by Murdo Fraser, he basically said that there was no people in London, which makes it look like a setup by Murrell and Nicola Sturgeon, involving the conclusion. Sturgeon has repeatedly denied any wrongdoings, but says she's completely transparent but wants to cover up the legal advice. This is coming unstuck. This is going to completely come unstuck for her, and she will now have to resign. As soon as they get the legal documentation, that's it. Good night, Vienna, and she's off by the party and her officials. Salmond too has been accused by the committee members of stalling after refusing 2 successive requests to give evidence, citing health and legal concerns. Well, Alex is quite a big man, and he's getting on in his years, so I would suspect he would have to either take the vaccine or have some way of actually protecting himself for his own health reasons. The committee told him on Friday he must appear by 5th of February. The committee has also again written to the Scottish Government asking it to finally release the legal advice on its prospects of winning and the judicial review after ministers and the Lord Advocate refused to comply with the 2 Holyrood votes requesting the disclosure. I'm not sure about this Lord Advocate, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not convinced by. I think he was involved in the drawing up of the hate speech bills as well, if I can remember correctly. Let me see. James Wolfe QC has welcomed the beginning. So this guy seems like a bit of a prick, to be honest with you. So this is Scottish Legal News, one of my favourite periodicals. Lord Advocate James Wolfe QC has welcomed the beginning of the UK Hate Crime Awareness Week. Just absolutely disgusting. Mr. Wolfe is attending an event at Police Scotland in Tullyallen on Friday to raise awareness of disability hate crime. Mr. Wolfe said all people in Scotland are entitled to live their lives free from violence, intimidation, crime motivated by hate. But what difference does underlying motivation make for a crime? So would I prefer to get killed by somebody who was trying to rob me, or who didn't like me because I was white or dyslexic, or what real underlying difference does that make? And it seems, well, we know that it's one rule for one for another, these hate crimes. It's not protecting the whole community, it's protecting parts of the community. So if somebody's hateful from one of these protected classes, they can be as hateful as they want and get away with it. And then that then could provoke the people who are not protected by the hate crime into incitements because the protected classes are doing hateful things to the non-protected classes. It's an absolutely disgraceful bill, and I think Mr. Wolf should be considering his position as well, especially for covering up for the sexual smears. So I think Mr. Lord Wolf, Lord Advocate, should be considering his position, especially if he's wrapped up in this smearing of Alex Salmond. If he's involved in this, he should be stepping down, I think. All people in Scotland are entitled to live their lives free from violence, intimidation, prejudice. Crime motivated by hatred is an affronted to the basic values of tolerance and respect, which criticises modern Scotland. It is liable to create divisions and fear between communities. I think the hate crime bill is going to create more hatred and division within communities than anything else. The ability for some people to be able to speak freely and other people not to is just absolutely disgraceful. And I think, I mean, he looks like a very unusual chap, this guy, but I think he should be considering his position, especially if he's involved in the not releasing the legal documents to the Parliament. And yeah, I think he should be considering his position. I think the MSPs should be considering whether Lord Advocate James Wolfe is the correct person to have in that position. It is liable to create divisions and fear amongst them. But I think your hate crime bill is liable to do that, to be brutally honest. The one that you draw up and Humza Useless agreed with. He added the prosecution service along with Police Scotland play an essential role in creating an environment in which all people who live in Scotland, regardless of their personal or social circumstances, have the confidence that they live in a just society. Well, you've created an unjust society where you've created one rule for one for another, which is, to me, is absolutely disgraceful. Can confident that they live in a society, and in particular from hate crime, absolutely just silencing opposition. That's all it is. Absolutely disgusting. If you're involved, if Lord Wolfe is involved in the covering up of these documents to the Parliament, because the majority of the Parliament want to see these documents, Lord Wolfe is going to have to consider his position. The government was later ordered to repay 116,000 worth of legal fees. Murdo Fraser said it's up to $1 million to Alex Salmond, in addition to its own. You can see the lawyers are getting paid well anyway, can't you? £500,000 for legal fees. Quite incredible. And to its own legal costs of some 60,000. Murdo Fraser, very intelligent politician, a Conservative MSP on the committee, said the committee has consistently been blocked from performing by Lord Wolfe and the SNP. So I would suggest that, or the higher echelons of the SNP. And as I said, this could actually split the SNP, could actually split them. The committee has consistently been blocked for performing its remit by SNP members. The level of obstruction has been extraordinary. The Crown Office said it would respond to the request in early course, but that it has already told the committee there was potential legal constraints on releasing the material. Crown Council made considerable. Crown Council must consider whether producing the documents sought would be contrary to the public interest. A spokesman said, no, I think it's in the public interest that we see the legal documents. So I think that's what we want to see. And Lord Wolfe's position's on the line, as well as Nicola Sturgeon, as well as Mr. Morell's, and as well as a few other people within the SNP, the upper echelons of the SNP, which seems to be just a cabal Now, it just seems to be a cabal. They think they can do anything they want, break legal advice, cover up legal advice. And this is going to be the downfall of Nicola Sturgeon, who has brought it on herself, who has definitely 100% brought it on herself. But because the Parliament has done this, she will have to resign. It's as simple as that. She will have to resign. Once you see the WhatsApp messages, once you see that, she's finished. It's good night, Vienna. And I would be getting the documentation as quickly as possible. I think Lord Wolf is going to have to go as well. Lord Wolf will have to resign his position as well. That's my thoughts on it, guys. You know I love my baby gorillas. I hope you have a good Saturday. Take it easy. And let's not put up with this coronavirus nonsense any longer. It's now time to stop. Nigel has come out, said we should be getting back to work with social distancing. We should be protecting our old people and those who have underlying health conditions, where we should be getting back to work and stop destroying the Scottish economy, Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP, while signing up trade deals with China for £10 billion or whatever it is. Guys, you know I love you. Love our baby gorillas.